All right. Yeah. So Penny is going to knock something off of the windowsill without fail. That's going to happen. Um, there's flies on the window and it's like a game for her. Anyways,
The best game ever.
at least she eats them and then I don't have to deal with them. Uh, so yeah, so the 10th,
The 10th.
yes, online. I guess we kind of talked about this yesterday, but what is your intention for the 10th
Yeah. The the 10th. um
of November?
yeah, I feel yeah, of November. Um well, the whole purpose really is to gather with intention of taking advantage of the 11/11 energetics that's happening the day after. So, don't confuse it because it's happening on the 10th. We're doing this because if people can't make it to, like, if we were to do it on the 11th and people can't make it, then at least this way, if we do it on the 10th, we're already capturing the energy, we're already placing intentions. And for me, what I'm witnessing, uh, like unravel in my own life or like in the collective as well, people around me, but like kind of humanity as a whole, is there's a lot of chaos at the moment. And I think what is so needed right now in this moment in time is to turn away from the chaos and turn inward and find that central pillar of light of um, your own truth, uh, what is stabilizing for you, what is something that is going to keep you anchored amongst all of this chaos, right? And that's really your own internal compass. It's like you being the eye of the storm and not allowing anything manipulate. There's a lot of manipulation in the field at the moment. There's a lot of like uncertainty or anger, like frustration, betrayal, like a lot of this, right? So it's like, okay, like let's just exit that and come inward. So that really for me is my purpose in doing this and coming together because um this is something that I've been doing, just like exiting myself, like from anything that's super chaotic in my life and like turning inward and just not really giving my energy to things outside of my own like vortex, which is like what I'm trying to really nurture and I'm trying to like expand and magnetize. That's not to say to like completely ignore what's going on and like it's not an excuse to use to be avoidant in things that do need to be looked at and like honored and acknowledged, but um just being discerning of where you're giving your energy to. So that is my see Penny's tail. That is my intention of gathering and that like through breath work, right? Like though for those who have breathed with me in circle like this before online, like I've done this so many times before, like we gather with intention on days like 11/11 for different purposes.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking. Sorry, Penny was just like all over. I don't know if you saw her.
She
Like,
wants to be
get
a part of
down.
this.
um, yeah, and I think even for myself, yes, we're doing it on Friday the 10th, and in honor of like 11/11. But the 10th and the 11th are still really big, like the 1011, right? Or
Yes.
1101, whichever way you read that.
Yeah.
There's still lots of energy there. And being able to speak to it sometimes, and like we talk about this all the time. We're like, yeah, let's make a plan, let's do it. And then the day comes and it's like, it is what it is. So I think we were hesitant to kind of make a plan and structure about it. But I think my initial intention And so the last event, I led a yoga practice. I call it more of just like a movement practice. Not sure if that's going to come into this one because I'm really feeling working with this energy is like, and it's funny because we pulled cards today, but it's like a rebirth into that energy and like moving through the darkness and like honoring the descent into the darkness because we've had the fall equinox already. So the days are starting to get shorter now and nights are starting to get longer. And it's always a really beautiful time to just quiet that external world, like you were saying, like the manipulation, the chaos, the betrayal, like everything that's outside of you. It's really nice to just be like, no, I'm just going to cover myself with a blanket and this is my protection. I don't need any of that. And I'm going to just come into the space that's within me and be my own light and my own guidance. And so I think that is really the intention because I'm going to be leading a meditation. We're going to be doing a group card pulling as well. But the intention is to honor that descent and not be afraid of the darkness because even still, we're peeling back conditionings and limiting beliefs that, you know, that dark is bad and like the dark goddess is evil and all of this other stuff. And she's not, and it's not. And it's really a great opportunity when the world outside of us, like as above, so below, as we start to receive darkness externally, it's okay to mirror that internally and explore that. And like, what is that to you? And can you sit in there comfortably and use it as an opportunity to like mine your inner being? You know, you've gone down the mine shaft, we're moving into the dark cave now. And like, can you sit in that space and just allow yourself an opportunity to settle in so you can be reborn when the light starts to come back at that winter solstice? You know, can you be in a space where you sat in there and you're like, I've done the work, I've nurtured myself, and I'm ready to be reborn in as the light comes back. And I think the energy of like the 1111 and like the 1011s and stuff like that is really like a big comforting sign. And it's like the energy of like, yes, you're where you need to be, you're doing it, you're moving forward. And so even with the card pull, it's going to be, you know, like, what are we letting go of from this last season? What do we need to work on through this journey to the darkness? And then what's going to be rebirth after it? And what are we working towards? That's the intention. Whatever comes in and flows through will be what it's going to be. But I just feel like that's really my energy with it. And I mean, we're going to be coming out of the eclipse season now. So like the chaos that literally just happened over the last month, we can finally start to settle. And like people who didn't even know what was going on, when I was like, oh, it was eclipse season, they were like, oh, that makes so much sense. I'm like, yeah, it was chaotic, it was messy. But we needed to feel, I feel like we all needed that shake so that we can now see clearly and move forward into being who we're ready to be, and then take that opportunity to go inwards, mine those great spaces, and then emerge with the light. Anyways.
Yeah, I know, I completely agree, and I love that. I love what you said, how you're kind of like we're in the descent of like going down the mine shaft, and because that's where all of like the wisdom, that's where like all the golden nuggets are. Like you have to do that in order to cultivate that and be able to bring that to light. So any chaos that anybody's experiencing at the moment, or has been, like, what are the takeaways? You know, like for me, there's a lot of like loose boundaries. There's a lot of different things moving around, you know? And I feel like how you just explained it, the shake, like I feel like all of 2023 has been shaking everybody in like so many different ways. Like it's like a shuffle. And I feel like so many people, including myself, has just like have just been shuffling into different paths, different timelines, different perspectives, and like, oh, actually, maybe I should be doing this instead, or like this doesn't feel in alignment. And like, it's just kind of like, it feels like we're like in a big tumble dryer. And all of it's getting moved around. And yeah, I think there's so much value in all of that happening though. But like there's value when you can look at the takeaways from it. Um, and I think it's perfect actually when people say like, "Oh, it's the summer solstice, like longest day of the year." I'm like, "Yes, like this is great, but like it also makes me internally kind of sad because then I know from there on out the days are getting shorter." Whereas like with the winter solstice, it comes and I'm like, "Okay, this is as worse as it's gonna get." This is as dark as it's gonna be, and it's gonna start getting. We're gonna start moving into the light again. So I almost have more excitement with the winter solstice than I do the summer solstice. But I think that's a perfect segue to talk about bloom, like with what um, we are creating collectively with those who feel called to join is the retreat bloom that we're having on the spring equinox in 2024, so in the new year.
Yeah, it is a really great time, I think, to just speak to that because I am with you. I also love winter solstice because, like, it's my birthday pretty well. So I'm like, celebrate me, celebrate the share of the light. I love my birthday. Um,
True Sagittarius energy.
um, but yeah, I think Bloom, and it's kind of funny because we went back and forth on dates for Bloom, and I kept coming back to the spring equinox because, like, I just love equinoxes. I love everything to do with the earth. And that time is so fertile. Like, I feel like on those days where it's warm and you can like literally smell the fertile energy of the earth when you walk outside and you're like, I walk outside with my like little shakers, my little rattles, or like even my bowls, and I ding it. And there's like a practice that's a ritual. It's like, wake up, like it's spring, everything's ready to start blooming and blossoming and growing. Um, and yeah, so bloom falling on the spring equinox, first of all, it just makes me so excited. And second of all, it's so perfect, which is why we called it bloom, right? Like we wanted people to take all the mining of, like you said, those golden nuggets, those diamonds, everything they found over this descent into darkness. And we wanted them to have an opportunity to then allow those seeds that have been sitting there time to germinate, ready to come up to the surface. And so I don't want to say this. This retreat is like not for the faint of heart in a sense of like we both, even like myself personally, I won't speak for you, but I've just been craving such a deeper experience with a retreat in the sense of like, I want to unearth stuff. Like, I want it to be really tangible, to be like, I peeled back these layers at this retreat. I have clarity going forward. I'm inspired to go forward because I feel more in tune with my authentic self and what that is for me. And that's like for me, my intention really with this space is to be able to facilitate a space that is a safe container where we're going to move energy through the body, through those major energy centers. We're going to work with nature. We're going to work with movement. We're going to work with meditation. We're going to work with the elements to get us into a space where when we leave at the end on the 24th, when we leave the space, there is still a sense of, I know what to do. I'm ready to continue going forward. Because sometimes, and I never think it's the intention of the facilitators, but sometimes you leave a retreat and you're kind of like, well, now what? Like, what am I going to do now? Like, how do I keep this momentum going? And I really want people to leave feeling like they have tangible tools and that they have direction, that they have clarity, that they have the inspiration, the piece to keep moving forward so that they can keep coming closer and closer to their authentic self. I don't know. I kind of feel like I went on a tangent there, but you can speak if you'd like to add to that.
I literally don't know what more to say, to be honest. Like you just nailed it. Um, but yeah, I fully double all of what you just said. And if there's anything that I can add to it, it would just be, um, yeah, just be ready. And it's for women of all stages and ages, regardless of like which rite of passage you're moving through next. Um, all is welcome. The maiden, the mother, the crone, like everyone is welcome into this because sometimes, the older generation of women look at things like this and like, oh, like it feels more dedicated towards young people, or maybe it's the other way around, like younger women looking at this and feeling, oh, maybe I'm not quite there yet. And I think one of the best parts is it doesn't really matter where you're at, like on your spiritual journey or personal development, whatever resonates with you. Um, it doesn't matter because you're going to leave with the takeaways that are most appropriate for you. And so where other people are at on their journey really has nothing to do with you, and it has actually a lot to offer depending on where you can take and build relationships within in the space, like within the weekend. And it is really designed, especially with the cabins and the accommodation, it's really designed to come with a friend or sister or a mother or even your grandmother, auntie, cousin, whoever. And so you don't necessarily have to come alone unless that's something that you really want to venture into. That's beautiful as well. I know a lot of people like to go to things like this with someone they know and they have a level of safety with, but that's not always the case. And yeah, I just want women to feel really nourished. And there's a lot of practices that have been lost over the last 2 to 3 generations that are beginning to come back, like herbalism, yoni steaming, like other nature practices, breath work. There's so many things. I don't have the itinerary right in front of me to really look at, but and cooking for each other, even, like nourishing yourself or cooking for yourself or whichever. Um, but yeah, I just want this to be a weekend where you can really just disconnect and replenish yourself and peel back those. The vision that I got when you were talking, Brittany, was um, kind of like an old house that just has like a blanket and like cobwebs and like blankets all over the furnitures and like dust and stuff like that. And like we are that old house. And I feel like it's like, okay, like we're coming in now. We're gonna like take the sheets off like we're just gonna do like a whole big spring clean, but like internally. And I think it's also perfect, divinely timed as well with when it's happening, because depending on what type of astrology that you follow, um, we'll be headed into Aries season, and the spring equinox truly is the the new year, right? Like that's nature's new year. Everyone tries to set intentions on January 1st or for January 1st, but like we're in the dead of winter. Nothing's blooming then, at least here in the northern hemisphere, right? So, um, really honoring that, and then and so Bloom, the retreat, is happening literally on nature's new year, and or within days of it, anyways. What in Western astrology, we'll be headed into Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. And even if you follow true sky astrology, it's like it will be kind of in Pisces season, which is the end. So it's like almost like this. It's this really beautiful transitional time, uh, energetically to be able to use that to our advantage. And like you said, taking inventory of all of the harvesting and mining that we've done over winter, to then move forward in the fullest expression of ourselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think too, like the space, even just touching on that, like Folk Tree Lodge is such a divine space. So for those who don't know where it is, it's just outside of Bragg Creek. It's on 30 acres and they have these cabins. So we've rented out the entire space so we can really have a nice container, where it's just going to be us. We can do whatever. We can have the fires. We can do the nature walks. We can do these things. I mean, weather permitting, it's snowshoeing or it's hiking. So spring can be very interesting here. But I think, yeah, like even having it at that space and allowing, like you said, just like a decompressing of like removing the outside world. Who are you without the static noise? And just creating an environment that is really welcoming, that is really nurturing. And yeah, even like you said, like it's the spring clean of the house. It's funny because I live in an old house. So it just makes me laugh. But
And we both just did like a winter clean.
yeah. The
Like
energy.
cleaning the baseboards kind of cleaning, you know? Like not just like, oh, I'm gonna vacuum. Like actually we're gonna do more than that. So that's what we're doing.
We are. And I did pull up the like our itinerary, and even like we were speaking about to the 10th, these things kind of take on a shape of their own. But I mean, so just for something that you can kind of wrap your head around maybe as to like what we're talking about, because it is hard to articulate, what's going to happen. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, if you've done a retreat with me before, you kind of know. If you haven't, well, you're in for a treat or a surprise or whatever that is for you. So the dates are the 21st to the 24th. So it's a Thursday to a Sunday. And like Emily was saying, pardon?
Of March, I just wanted to
Oh,
say.
yes, of March. Yes, the 21st to the 24th of March.
Yeah.
And as Emily was saying, we encourage you to come with somebody. Also, that makes it more attainable for people to register, because if you come with somebody, your cost is less than your own space. And we want to work with you because we want to facilitate the space. So there are still payment plans, even for those lower investment pricing. So do see if you want to come with somebody, because it also gives you something to talk about after. You can be like, okay, so this is what I'm still working on after the retreat. Like, how are you feeling? What are you integrating? What's going on? So on Thursday, it's a half day. So the arrival time is 3. So we do a big opening ceremony. We'll have a group collective dinner that's included in the registration fee. And then we will do some yoga. And it's a really grounded practice to just settle everybody into the space. And then Emily's going to guide us through a beautiful breath work. And then an opportunity to start to journal, what are those limiting beliefs? Setting your intention for the space. What are you looking to move through here? Like, are you looking to find clarity as to like who you are? And like Emily said, we go through these different phases of our lives, maiden, mothers, crone. But wherever you're at, sometimes there's something that's shifted and it's like, well, who am I now? Like maybe you left that job and you're like, well, what's my identity without that job? Or maybe you're a mom and your kids have moved out and you're like, well, who am I now that I'm not just their mom? Like, who am I again? Or maybe you're literally stepping into that, 24, 25, 26, and things are starting to come around astrologically. And you're like, well, who the fuck am I at all? Like, it can be really intense. So we want to create that space. So we're going to start to journal about what are we working through? What are we moving through? And then on Friday, so this would be a full day, we are going to be doing some yoga in the morning, some breath work, and then a silent nature walk. Again, snowshoes or shoes, we don't know yet. And then we'll have lunch. And then lunch is your own. And what's beautiful about the space is everything has a full kitchen. Fridge, stove, dish, like everything. So you can really kind of decide your price point here. You can bring food and pack or like pre-cook some meals for yourself and keep the cost a bit lower, and then just work with the kitchen in this cabins. lodges, I guess would be the proper word. Or you can drive into Bride Creek that has an abundance of great restaurants, little cafes, coffee shops. So the option for you is there. And then we'll do some womb breath work. And then we're going to come into making an herbal blend that we're going to do a steam with. So we will either be doing a yoni steam or a facial steam, whichever one feels more comfortable for you. And then there'll be a time to break, do dinner, and then we're going to be doing a burning ceremony and then a tea ceremony. Moving into that Friday evening. And then, of course, the evening's yours after that. Rest, journal, do whatever you need to do. And then on Saturday, we're going to be again opening the practice with some cacao. And then a heart-centered breathwork practice. So cacao is going to open up the body, open up the heart. The yoga practice in the morning is going to be really opening through that heart space. And then we're going to move into lunch. Again, lunch is going to be all on your whatever you want to do. It's up to you. And then we have a guest speaker coming the afternoon of that day. And then we're going to call in the elements. This is something I'm really excited about because I just love it. So it's going to be a bit of singing, a little bit of drumming, a little bit of chanting. We're going to call in those elements. We're going to get all witchy, energetic. And then we'll just kind of do a check-in, see how everybody's feeling. And then working with those elements, we're going to be doing a big salt bowl. And Emily is going to be the one to help definitely guide us through this. And she's really excited about it. She talks about it every time we're going to do something. And I'm always like, yeah, okay.
I'm like, we should do a salt bowl.
Literally every time. We should do a salt bowl.
I just love it. It's such a beautiful practice and it involves everyone and it's for me, it's really powerful, really sentimental and it invites in energy from the past. If you already have a salt bowl going in your house, if you have that, then that's something you would bring some of that with you to pour into this bowl. Anyways, more details to come on that, and then everyone leaves with a bit of that salt. So it's really beautiful. It just perfectly portrays the web that we're all a part of, you know?
It definitely does. And I think like this retreat is such a beautiful opportunity to actually add it in because it gives somebody something to take home. And like, it's a reminder, you see it on your shelf and you're like, oh yeah. Or you see it in your room and you're like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So then we'll do the salt bowl Saturday. So Saturday. Yeah. And then Sunday morning. So we'll do a bit of a meditation. We're either going to do an adaptogenic cacao or we're going to be doing tea. We'll see what that looks like. And then we're going to take a moment to tune into like what actions are we going to move taking forward to continue this work, to continue holding space for ourselves in this way. Giving an opportunity to share. Anybody wants to talk about their experience or things they're moving through. And of course, like as always, as any day comes, there'll be an opportunity to share. But what's really great too is that when you're in a lodge with all these other women, and there's 2 lodges that you'll be either in one or the other. So you'll have a group of women with you in the morning and in the evening that you can still like share with and talk to and really create that community with. And then you will have a brunch, which is also going to be included in the registration. And so we'll have a community brunch. Everybody gets to nourish themselves and then we will say goodbye and hopefully talk to you again soon. These kind of things, people always end up kind of intertwining back in again. So I'm sure we'll see you all again. But yeah, so that's a gist of the outline for the Bloom retreat. Like I've said, you know, things kind of take on their own little entity in the day. We have some structure. And for me, this is huge. Like Emily will probably speak to this because I am very much in the masculine when it comes to like, I need a schedule. I need to know what we're doing. I need to know exactly when I need to be there. I need to know what my itinerary is. And I'm just going to allow this to be whatever it's going to be and really channel in that feminine energy of spring, of the fertile nourishing and the growth, and just allow it to be.
Well, and I think for both of us, if I'm allowed to speak for you, is leading up to even creating this event, we're both majorly getting schooled by the universe on how to actually step into our feminine energy more, because we're in such a masculine world, or society, I should say. And exactly what you said, like everyone's so used to like, okay, what's the schedule? Like, we have to be on time, this, that, whatever. Like, yes, the masculine serves a purpose. It's not about erasing it, it's about harmonizing it with the feminine. And so, coming, even the itinerary that you just beautifully listed right now, it's like, things might shift a little bit, like here and there. Like, this is the outline, that's the container, that's the masculine. But when we're actually in it, we want to honor where we're at as the facilitators, where um, whoever is attending is at as well, and just moving within that flow, and like honoring that, like honoring your yes, honoring your no, and honestly trusting as well too, just trusting in that everything is going to be so divinely perfect, because it always usually is. And or it always is, I should just say. um, Again, there's that trust muscle, kind of getting a bit of exercise coming through. um, and yeah, just allowing yourself to go with flow, because a lot of moms, especially in like modern day society, like, okay, we've got to wake up at this hour, we've got to get the kids ready for school, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, okay, soccer practice after school, or whatever. It's like, allow yourself to come into this space and kind of like melt all of that away, and kind of build that trust in the universe, or in your own flow. And how to say this, it's like just finding the beauty in the imperfections of life as well too, like, is a takeaway that you could, I hope, maybe people, women, are going to take away from this as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's really fair to say. And we've spoken about this too. Yeah, the society, like the container is necessary. And I use this analogy all the time, where it's like, that feminine is the river, but the masculine is the banks of the river. And if there were no banks to the river, we would literally flood everything. So, like, super necessary to have the masculine. But I mean, are you even allowing yourself to flow? So I think that's really great to speak to, and just creating that space, because yeah, we've been living in a society that's not designed for feminine flow. So it can be a really rigid thing to get into, but when you can remove that and hold space, hopefully that's something that is brought to your awareness, or that you can move through during, after. Because yeah, Emily is like right on head, where yeah, we're both been like, are you actually in the feminine? And then it's like the universe is like, well, here you go. How do you handle this? um, so yes, I think that's great. If any of that, anything we spoke to sounds like something that resonates with you, we do have early bird pricing until December 31st. There are still payment plans available for early bird pricing, and then December 31st, everything goes up out of early bird pricing. So we will go ahead and link the intake form. So if you want to fill out the intake form to receive the registration link, it just helps us know, okay, so are you taking a single room, a double room? Are you shared bed? Are you having your meals catered? Are you going to do your own thing for food? And so it gives us that info, so we can then adjust how many spaces are still available. So just click the link, fill out the intake form. It'll take like 2 seconds. Okay, it'll take like 30 seconds. And then like, that's a lie. It won't take 2. It'll take at least 30. And then yeah, we'll receive your responses for the intake form, get you the registration link, and then it is either a $250 deposit if you are going to be registering. If you want to pay in full, you would just pay in full and let us know in that intake form, so we can send you the proper registration.
Yeah, the intake form is not an application. It's literally just so that we know what you want, and we can come up with everything according to what you want. It's literally necessary.
Yeah, like it tells us, like it'll ask you if you have a food allergy, so we know what to make for dinner and for the brunch.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff, it is necessary. And we will have other intake forms as we get closer to, but people usually lose those, me. So we will go ahead and get you like the waivers and things like that closer to the event, or even at the event, you can sign the waivers there. But yeah, we're really excited. I'm super stoked. It's been a while since I've hosted a retreat. The world kind of had other plans for a couple years there, but um, I'm really excited to be gathering in circle and space. I think it's going to be beautiful. Full Tree Lodge is stunning. Their space is just so welcoming. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, this is gonna be my first retreat that I'm hosting, like hosting, period.
Co-facilitating, yeah.
Yeah, co-facilitating. Um, I'm usually just hired into retreats, so this is like an initiation process for me, and I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful in advance for all those who say yes. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's gonna unfold because it's gonna be really, really magical. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited.
Mm.
All right. Well, yeah, if you have questions, reach out. I'll tag our social media links in the post so you can message us, emails, the intake form. If you fill that out, you'll reach out to us anyway. And yeah, really looking forward, like you said, like super grateful for everybody who's ready to say yes and step into this space, because I think it's so necessary. I've seen so much personal growth from doing it myself, the work, and like we fucking deserve this time for ourselves. So just, you know what, take the time for you. You can say goodbye world for 3.5 days, 4 days, and then come back to it when you're ready.
Yeah, completely.
Cool. Well, we'll be back next week to talk more.
Yeah, about other things.